Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wondergoal, the soccer betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Lieboff, and joining me in just a moment are my co-hosts and colleagues, my friends, and my betting role models, Anthony DeBundo and BJ Cunningham. And together, the three of us are going to go on a little handicapping adventure through the upcoming match week in the Premier League. We'll touch on Bundesliga, La Liga, El Clasico this weekend. Liga, Serie A. Then we'll give out our three-leg Underdog Parlay just north of 50 to 1 this week. And no, it doesn't include Sheffield United yet. Maybe I can be convinced. And then our best bets in the Premier League for this weekend. But before we do all that, a reminder that Wondergoal is presented by Bet365, and Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. It believes that every sport should be epic, every tournament, every game, every point, every play, from the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. See for yourself when you sign up today with code ACTION, and you'll get $365 in bonus bets when you bet just $1. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 or older, and you also must be present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia. And if you or somebody you know has a gambling problem and wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Kentucky, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia, or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms and conditions apply. All right, we'll start this weekend in the Premier League. Anthony and BJ. Anthony's licking his wounds from the Phillies' exit in the Major League Baseball playoffs, but what better way to lift your spirits than a whole host of soccer to bet on, and a fun weekend here. The matches are all spread out through the weekend. We got 5 on Sunday, 4 Saturday, and 1 on Friday. But we'll start with the last kickoff of the weekend, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Manchester United hosting their Mancunian rivals, Man City. United plus 450 at home. City traveling at minus 163, and the draw is plus 300. Anthony, City's coming off of a decent showing in the Champions League. They beat Brighton. Are they back on track? Do they have value as a odds-on favorite on the road here?
I actually don't think so. I didn't think the game against Brighton was all that good. Like they ended the game with 0.8 expected goals. It is the third consecutive league match that they've finished with less than 1 expected goal. We don't even have XG data to go back far enough to figure out the last time that happened. The last time they had 2 straight matches where they failed to create 1 expected goal. You have to go all the way back to the Premier League restart in 2020. So it's been a while. And those matches also were like end of season, season's over kind of matches. So on one hand, yes, they dominated young boys today, created over 4 expected goals, no real concerns. Doku in the lineup, I think, makes them better right now. But I think it is real that City has struggled to consistently create shots, and it's been the shots that have disappeared. Not necessarily, the XG's gone down as a result, of course, that's heavily correlated, but the shot totals have been kind of alarmingly low. And so, look, we've seen this before with City where they go through these little lulls early in the season, maybe first third, and we maybe over-conclude things about them based off of those stretches. But the defense remains very elite. And at some point, you are what your XG and what your underlying data says you are, and we have to stop. Not that our podcast has ever really been one to do that, but we should probably stop giving Man United the benefit of the doubt here. I mean, if Scott McTominay doesn't score that late goal against Brentford, or if Andre Onana doesn't save that penalty on Tuesday against Copenhagen in the Champions League, in which they were pretty solidly outplayed, relatively even, does Ten Hag still have a job?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a real question. And should he still have a job?
It's a good question.
I don't know, because right now, you look at this team, they're 10th in XG4. They're 11th in XG against. If you even take out, some of the variance from the numbers, you take out some of the extreme stuff. If you just say 11 on 11 in close games that are within 2 goals on either side, you take out penalties, they are 12th in expected goals for and 9th in expected goals against. And look, they've played a decent schedule, but it's not like they've run the entire top of the league. They haven't played Newcastle, they haven't played Liverpool, haven't played City. So they haven't played, what you could argue is the three best teams in the league. So like these numbers are not like inflated. I mean, where's the convincing performance? Pull up their entire season.
There's never been one.
There's never been one. Not even one where you could be like, well, that was kind of good. The best performance of the season by expected goals was a game they were down 2-0 inside 5 minutes. And so that kind of dramatically skews the single game XG. That was against Forest. They came back to win 3-2, scored late. They go to Burnley and get outplayed. They're even with Sheffield, even with Brentford, even with Palace, even with Copenhagen, outplayed by Galatasaray. Like, this is just not a team worth my money right now at this number. What would City be lying at Brentford?
Probably
because
probably
I have United ahead of Brentford, and I'm not sure that I should.
Minus 160, minus 175, somewhere in that area.
And that's higher than it is here. So I'm not sure I think that this United team's any good. And so I'm not going to bet them. I'm not going to bet them.
Sounds like
it's just crazy. I mean, they have not had a good performance all year. I think we were all in agreement on that, though.
No. It's the Copenhagen match during the Champions League, I think it was very evident of what the actual problem is with Manchester United is Ten Hag doesn't know what he wants to do tactically. So again, what happened against Copenhagen a lot is he switched the build-up shape to a 3-1-6, which, obviously you're playing one of the minnow sides. You're trying to overload the last line of defense. But really what he was trying to do was just get the ball up to the front line. He wasn't trying to connect anything. But what's been happening is teams like Crystal Palace and Sheffield United realize that United is terrible in build-up play because they don't have Lisandro Martinez. They don't have Luke Shaw. They don't have anybody on the back line who can really build out the back. So they're just sitting off. And they're just saying, okay, well, we know you're just going to send long balls up, so we're just going to try to win those. And we're just going to dare you to try to break us down. And they can't do it because that right now, especially against Copenhagen, what happens time and time again is Scott McTominay is not somebody who drops into the last line of defense, grabs the ball, and connects the play between the midfield and the first line. He's not that. Neither is, quite frankly, neither was Eriksen, or Brent Fernandes was trying to come back and do it, but that's just not his role. So there were often times where the build-up shape became a 3-0-7, and there was just nobody in the middle of the pitch that they connect the ball to. So, they're going to have to do what they did when they beat City last year at Old Trafford, which is just stay incredibly compact defensively. Don't even try and press City, and just make sure that nothing goes through the middle, and just hope that Pep doesn't become obsessed with, hope that he does become obsessed with playing through the middle. But now the fact that City does have somebody like Doku who can get in one-on-one situations, I think you'll try to overload the middle of the pitch so they can isolate Doku and Grealish now that he's healthy. But City, I mean, it's pretty evident that they are just way worse without Kevin De Bruyne. I have a trivia question for you guys. So last year, Kevin De Bruyne averaged 3.5 passes in the penalty area per 90 minutes. This season, two guys lead City through 9 matches with just 12 passes into the penalty area. One of them is Bernardo Silva. Can you name the other one?
John Stones.
No.
I don't think Stones has played enough to be on that list, right? So
correct.
Gvardiol.
Kyle Walker. 12 from right back position. So that's kind of where City is at. They do not have that creative guy in the middle of the pitch. I thought it would have been like somebody like Julian Alvarez or Phil Foden or maybe even Rodri for that matter because he's getting forward more. But that just hasn't been the case. So City is struggling to get the ball inside the box. I mean, they have the lowest final third of box entry conversion rate. Just around 20% of the time they get the ball into the final third, they're getting into the penalty area. That is kind of concerning. And if you look at through some of their performances, especially go look at the ones against Nottingham Forest and Fulham. I mean, they took a total of 14 shots combined in those 2 matches. Like, that's really concerning if you can't outplay and really dominate those teams and get a lot of chances. So I am passing on this match. I do believe City is a tad overvalued, but there is no way I want to touch this United team with all the injuries that they have right now and how bad they've been. So it sucks to sit out the biggest match of the weekend, but I just don't think there's really any value anywhere in this match.
I actually think City makes a decent parlay piece here. There's a couple other favorites that on the the slate that I think that you could pair him with. I don't see how, and I know I've said that I would probably look to play United when they're playing the other top 6 teams. Speaking of like the projected top 6 before the season, according to the odds. But like Anthony said, like they haven't shown to be in that conversation at all. So it's not even like if you put I think the point you made about Brentford, right? Like if you took their statistical portfolio, United's, and you just slapped Aston Villa's name on top of it, on top of that portfolio, and what would they make? What would market make City here? A much bigger price. So I don't know.
They'd be much bigger.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know. I think this could be one-way traffic. We're talking about City like as they're struggling, and we had this conversation last year. It's a little different. Obviously, there's some nuance with Kevin De Bruyne, but they're in second place in the league, playing poorly by their standards. So when they do click into gear, it'll be scary if they click into gear. But I'd say it's more likely than not. So I think City actually as a parlay piece are interesting. I don't want to lay a spread with them just because I don't know if they have the, like Anthony and BJ, you guys have been saying, like that the attacking numbers aren't good enough to trust them to get separation on a spread. But that's how I'd look to play this one. If anything,
real quick, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is questionable here. He would be if they get him back, that would help defensively because he's excellent in one-on-ones. That's the key here because right now Doku already has 28 carries into the penalty area, which is third in the Premier League in 4.5 90s.
Mm-hmm.
That is only just 7 behind Kulusevski, 2 behind Sterling. He's averaging 6.2 carries into the penalty area per match, which is insane. And I think that is the solution. I don't think there's a passing solution. I think it's just get the ball to Doku and then he will bring it into the box.
Overload to isolate. Get those guys in one-on-ones. Let them invade the box.
United City, I would say, in terms of just betting perspective, not all that thrilling. But the Friday night lights kickoff, man.
Oh my gosh.
This one's going to be great. I can't wait for this one. Palace as a plus 333 underdog hosting Tottenham Hotspur, top of the table. Tottenham, Spurs odds on minus 125, and the draws plus 275. Spent the entire summer trying to convince Anthony that this Spurs team was on its way to big things. He didn't believe it, and he still doesn't believe it when some big stats accounts start saying that Spurs are good.
When Mark Stats tweets out a couple graphics of how good Tottenham is, he'll buy in.
Exactly, he's waiting for it. If
Shout
you
out Mark
if
Stats,
you can't
by the way,
enjoy
one of
your
my
team being
guys
at the
on
top of the
Twitter.
table, what am I even doing? Like I've been waiting my entire life to see Everton go on a run like this, and Anthony's just talking about how Tottenham's a fraud in our group chats. I know we look at the underlying data to make informed betting decisions, but what counts in terms of being a fan, Anthony, is the actual results. So you can enjoy the results.
I mean, Monday was beautiful. I had the under. I'm a Spurs fan. We won. We went under. We took Son and Madison off and didn't do anything for the last 20 minutes. I mean, it was perfect as a fan.
I like Palace here, though. I think this is a great spot to finally catch Spurs. Palace at plus 333 at home. Find bigger numbers out there. There's a couple things, right? One, we know that Selhurst Park is a legitimate home field advantage. Palace have been relatively impressive this season when you consider the turnover they've had, the fact that the injuries they've had. They do have the best manager in the world in their dugout, so maybe that helps things. But defensively, still a sound team, still doing Crystal Palace things. The form is fine, I think. And I know they just got pasted by Newcastle, but they're running rampant right now. And a win, a draw, and a loss in a 3-game stretch against United, Forest, and Fulham, or excuse me, United, Forest, and Newcastle is not terrible for Palace either. So I don't know. I think that we've been talking about how Tottenham is eventually going to be priced out here, and I think this is the spot. I think this Palace team always punches up well, and especially against teams that want to just go and be all action, and Palace can just sit back. They can have some tea and some sandwiches while Tottenham's moving the ball around, and then go catch them, BJ.
Yeah. So when I originally sat down to look through this slate, I said, yes, I do like Palace. And then I went back and watched their match against the first half against Newcastle. They were really bad, like really, really bad trying to defend in that little block. And I know Newcastle's great and everything like that, but I worry.
Likes to do a slow burn too.
I agree. And I agree to a certain extent. And what Palace really needs to do, because honestly, I thought that Fulham wasn't that terrible in their low block for large stretches of the match against Tottenham. Really what happened is that they made two really dumb mistakes trying to build out of the back, and Tottenham punished them for it. And
Roy Hodgson won't let his team do that.
Exactly. He'll just send the ball along. But the problem I have here with Crystal Palace, Michael, is if they fall behind, I think it's all she wrote. Because without Eze right now, they are lacking any type of creative aspect going forward in attack.
Just can't fall behind.
Yeah, I mean they're getting the ball on average into the final third 40 times. They're only turning that into 10 box entries. So it's very, very clear that they have nobody who can really progress the ball forward. And really, what I noticed against Fulham, obviously this has been happening quite a bit, but Tottenham's system is obviously very fluid since Fulham was playing very compact. Udogie and Pedro Porro just constantly kept inverting and trying to get forward in attack, which left a ton of space out wide if teams wanted to exploit it. Fulham was playing too compact, so they didn't really have a chance to exploit that. If Palace had Eze and Elise in this match and they could exploit those wide areas, I would be right here and be like, yes, that's how Palace wins this match. But with Mateta, I mean, Edouard will be up top, but with Mateta and Jordan Ayew, I just don't see how Palace really threatens them in attack. So it's really hard for me to get behind Palace plus a half, but if you're going to bet this match, Palace is the right side because Tottenham is a tad inflated on the road here. So I'm passing.
Short rest too, like Monday, Friday. Like this is.
I know.
Injury concerns starting to pop up a little bit here for Tottenham as well.
There is, and there definitely is, but I don't see it right now with Palace. I mean, just the way they got destroyed by Newcastle. I mean, the same thing can happen here against Tottenham.
Sure can.
It's only one match.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. Look, I get that Tottenham are top of the league, and I get it. We're playing great. We have yet to lose under Postecoglou in the league, but like they've played a very easy schedule where they have not, the toughest match of the season, at least the toughest opponent they've played at Arsenal is a little tougher than home to Liverpool, but they get up a man, up two men for the majority of the 90 minutes. They've run really well in expected goals allowed compared to actual goals allowed. And they have not, they scored late, a bunch of late goals to steal extra points. And like, that's fine. And that's cool. And as a fan, I appreciate that. But as a bettor, it's like, how sustainable is this? Tottenham, what does the market think of Tottenham? Well, they play Chelsea in a week and a half. We're going to talk about that game next week. They are barely favored at home.
What?
I think that kind of gets to the point, right? Tottenham is plus 120 in that game at home against Chelsea. Chelsea's plus 210. I thought we were going to get like an all-time Chelsea plus a half win draw spot on the road. The market does not believe in Spurs right now, even after upgrading them. Because if you remember, one of the first few games of the season, Tottenham went to Bournemouth and they went to Burnley in back-to-back weeks. And they were minus 110 against teams that are teetering on relegation. Now they're minus 115 against a team who is nowhere near relegation, who is a pretty solid mid-table defensive side overall. So I think that you're finally getting a little bit of a tax on Spurs, but the market still isn't that much of a believer in them. The market still thinks that they're not a top four team. And quite frankly, I agree. I think there are very clearly on paper 4 teams better than Tottenham at this point in the season. The question is, can they keep outrunning this? Sarr and Udogie are questionable for this match now. Neither are particularly serious injuries, but that's a big drop off to their backups, I think, with Højbjerg and not, getting forward like Sarr does, with Bissouma coming back from suspension. It's a little bit more defensive if they have to play the Bissouma-Højbjerg double pivot. The Udogie drop off to the backup is significant. He's playing at an elite level. He's been probably their most underrated player this season. So there are reasons to love what Tottenham is doing, but this is like near the peak of the market on them. I think on the road here is a favorite. So I cannot believe we're not going to get a better number to fade them next week against Chelsea.
Well, maybe they'll pace Palace, and you will. But I don't think so. I think this is a good spot for Palace.
And maybe, just maybe, the next match we're going to talk about will go one way, and then we can get Chelsea at a good number, Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, Eze is so important. And we
Yes.
talked about this before the season. We were all like, where's Palace going to get goals and chances from? And then Eze just like pops, and we're like, oh, Eze. Makes sense. We could have seen that coming. And then now he's out. So, yeah, it's the midfield pairing against Palace was rough. Yeah, you're not getting a lot of forward passing out of Will Hughes. They got 3 shots from Jordan Ayew last week, which is a lot for him. They got no athleticism from Mateta, from lateral quickness at all. So it's tough to envision it, but Spurs on the road as a road favorite at Palace has traditionally not gone well.
Will Hughes in the Palace red and white kit with the black boots and the blonde hair, just one of the best looks in all of soccerdom.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about that game BJ alluded to. That's Chelsea at home as a big favorite, -163, hosting Brentford, +400, and the draw is +320. Some bigger numbers on Brentford out there as well, and no shock here. I think the Bees are worth a bet. Going up against a Chelsea team that maybe they've stabilized, maybe. But when you're this big a favorite, you got to trust this team to be able to score.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, BJ, do you trust them to score?
No. So Chelsea's had a couple good results lately. They beat Fulham, they beat Burnley pretty handily, and then they got the draw against Arsenal. But if you really think about how those chances came in the matches, the second goal against Fulham came off of basically kind of a deflection. Burnley is a high pressing team, so they left a lot of open space for Chelsea, who pretty much destroyed them. And then against Arsenal, they got a goal off a penalty, and Mudryk tries a cross, and it just goes in the back of the net, and that's how they scored. And really, the only other chances they created in it were mistakes when Arsenal was trying to build out of the back. Other than that, they really didn't do much for the entire match. What has been happening with them is similar to Manchester United. Pochettino wants a fluid 3-1-6 buildup. He wants to overload the last line of defense. He wants to overload the central parts of the pitch. He wants to get Sterling and Mudryk isolated in 1v1 situations. That's all well and good, but it gets very disjointed once we get to the final third, and that is where Chelsea has been struggling. Cole Palmer has popped and been better as of late, but again, some of the teams that they've been playing are either not good in low blocks, they press high, or they were playing off the ball for most of the match, like against Arsenal. Now they're going to have to try to break down one of the most solid defensive units in the Premier League. So Brentford, this is just perfect. This match sets up perfectly for them, especially against teams who just struggle in the final third. They can play their 5-3-2 out of possession, clog up the middle of the pitch, keep teams out of the penalty area where they do so much success against the big sticks. They did this very, very well against Chelsea last season. In both meetings combined, they won the XG battle 2.4 to 2.1. They did that holding under 35% possession in both matches. They are the kings of low possession wins. And now the worry here for Brentford is, Rico Henry's obviously out for the season. Aaron Hickey has a suspension. So there goes your two best, wide defenders that will drop back in the 5-3-2 to defend in those wide areas. But again, a team like Chelsea, who is 9th in expected goals, 12th in big scoring chances, playing one of the easier schedules in the Premier League up until this point, I don't really see a scenario where Chelsea's going to get margin here against a really, really good defensive team. And if we just want to look at pure expected goal differential, going back to the start of last season, Brentford plus 12.7, Chelsea plus 4.2. There's really no reason why Chelsea should be this big of a favorite unless the market is just baking in, which is what they've been doing a lot, is baking in this talent level for Chelsea because they spend so much money, because they have all these talented players. But it's all just continues to be really disjointed and there's no cohesiveness, connectivity. It just feels like when they play. So Brentford +1, minus 127, projected Chelsea at minus 116. Really just don't see a scenario why Chelsea or how Chelsea's going to get margin here.
Yeah, and we say it all the time when we talk about Brentford. It's like they're just a bear to deal with for these upper echelon clubs, and I expect that to continue here. The underlying data is just Brentford has 2 wins on the season. They've been pretty poor in a couple of matches, and even with those performances, the data is between these two teams. Like their expected goal differential is almost negligible, and Brentford's played a relatively tough schedule, right? They played Spurs already. They played Newcastle. They played Arsenal. They played Everton. Played United. Like, I don't know. This Brentford team is just solid again, Anthony.
Yeah, underrated. I think we all missed it last week at home against Burnley. I thought we all probably should have laid it there.
I
BJ did. Yeah,
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I did. I should have laid it then. That was a mistake. But, yeah, they had a bad run of form where they didn't win a lot of matches. But, like you said, the underlying performances in those matches were totally fine. They had what I thought was one really bad game against Everton. Otherwise, I thought it was pretty typical Brentford. Like, they were, struggled as a favorite trying to get margin from Forest and Bournemouth. But that Newcastle match was highly competitive. They conceded 1 penalty. They were better than Arsenal in the League Cup. Granted, Arsenal did rotate, and they were better than United for large stretches, and then kind of capitulated with the backup keeper making a mistake in extra time. So, yeah, I don't really think there's anything in their numbers that would suggest you should downgrade Brentford at this point in the season beyond just like looking at their numbers of the results and getting biased by them. So, I think Brentford's the same. I think Chelsea's better than we thought. I don't know how much better though, because if you look at Chelsea's underlying numbers this season, they are 3rd in box entries, 5th in final third entries, which sounds really good. They've been pretty good on set pieces, but the expected threat is just 6th. The shots per 90 are 11th. The offense is 9th in XG per 90, and they've created the 12th most big scoring chances. So they're still not getting the same level of striker production. I thought it was interesting that they, the one player that I'm excited about is Palmer. I thought Palmer played really well against Arsenal. I thought he played really well in the match prior to that as well. And he's really made a difference in getting the ball into the box more and getting some shots. But, Nico Jackson comes off the bench against Arsenal, which I thought was really interesting. So, I think they're not really playing a striker out and out at the moment necessarily. And that's a problem against Brentford because Brentford's going to condense the space. You need somebody who can operate in those tight spaces and create chances and finish them. And I just don't know that Chelsea has that right now. So while I still think Chelsea's a buy and really, I thought they really messed up Arsenal last weekend. Like they dominated that match and they were unlucky to only get a point. Yes, of course, the goal was fortunate, the second goal, but they were clearly the better side in that match. So, the fact that they just beat Arsenal up pretty bad is worth something to me. And so I'm not necessarily like playing against Chelsea here. I'm just playing against this number and thinking that the market just doesn't like Brentford enough, as always.
As always.
But I'm excited about Palmer. I'm going to be watching Palmer. I think that was interesting that City let him get away because he has been really impressive thus far.
Too.
Yeah, don't underrate that because they've had problems with that.
Yeah.
In the recent past. But yeah, he got 3 shots against Arsenal, 2 shots against Burnley, 2 against Fulham. So, some encouraging signs.
Before we get into the rest of the leagues in Europe, something that everybody loves, we'll talk about something else that everybody loves, compliments. And compliments are guaranteed after making the leap to skincare with Caldera Lab. And I'm talking about how you look today and 20 years from now. The results are incredible in such little time. Men's skincare and Caldera Lab are the perfect pair. Men's skincare and Caldera Lab are the perfect pair for you to look and feel your best. Super easy to add to your morning and nightly routine. Clear skin, less wrinkles, less signs of aging, less signs of betting on terrible teams like Luton Town for someone like BJ, maybe Everton for someone like me, and Anthony. Well, he only bets on good teams. So join the other 100,000 men, including the 3 of us, who trust Caldera Lab to show you your best first impression this fall. Caldera Lab knows the skincare world is heavily female driven and has long been the wild, wild, wild west for men. And that's why they're making the solution simple with just 3 steps. 1, the clean slate, which is a face wash to start and end your day. 2, the base layer, which is a daily moisturizer to hydrate your skin. And 3, the good, which is an eye serum you can put on at night to help your skin look tighter and smoother. And just for our audience, we have an exclusive deal. Use the code GOAL, GOAL, at calderalab.com and get 20% off right now. That's 20% off with the code GOAL at calderalab.com. Make unforgettable first impressions with Caldera Lab. Arsenal now, we can be pretty quick with this one. They're minus 900 at home. Sheffield United's traveling at 22-1.
Luton's not the worst team in the league. Not even close.
They're not. They've
No,
never
not
been
even
the worst
close.
team in the league.
Yeah, it's always been Sheffield.
Yeah. Well, it's
They're actually not even the second
It's because
worst.
Tom Davis has not been able to play. He's been hurt. So
Yeah.
once they get Tom Davis back in the lineup,
They
then
got a lot of injuries too.
then look out. 22-1. It's kind of obligatory at this point that I'll be on it. BJ,
I think we got a review that's just like they just take the underdog every game, and that I don't think that's true, but we certainly have a bias toward them because let's have some fun, baby. Arsenal is overvalued though.
yeah, I mean this is an insane.
If Jesus doesn't play.
Then watch out.
I don't think a lot of guys are going to play in this match. Like I think.
So
they
how
might
are we
I
not
think they might
grabbing?
rest a lot of people here. It's been a really condensed schedule for Arsenal. A lot of guys are really banged up. Like Saka should sit. Rice should probably rest. Like
Well, they don't do that though. They don't rest
I
Saka.
know.
They have never rested him, and it's crazy.
they should just play Trossard or Kai or Havertz or somebody other than him, and just give him a break. They got a League Cup match coming up in the week. Give him another rest there, and we'll get back to it on the weekend. But again, here's the thing with Sheffield United. I mean, this is the spot to bet them, like very clearly. Like if you want to take them, what are they, plus 2.5?
The trash play of the week is stuff.
This is the trash play of the week. I'll say this about them: they suck. They try to defend in the low block. They can't do it. Teams just consistently break them down time and time again.
Yeah,
That's
compact.
They're not they are not compact. not compact. Not even, if we were doing, I gotta make some compact ratings coming up here. That'd be good. Not compact. Really bad defensively. There's just really not much else to say at this point. Like
they're horrible.
They
are bad, but they're 20.
Why isn't their manager been fired yet? Why haven't they tried out?
There's
Chris,
a chance.
Is Chris Wilder managing at the moment? Is he around?
I think he was. Yeah, he was.
Wasn't he at Watford?
Yeah, one of the. He was.
That doesn't mean he's going to be there for long.
Yeah, he's probably not there right now.
You want some more overlapping center backs in the? Yeah, he's at Watford.
He is. Yeah. He's currently unemployed.
Oh, so he can come back. Also, Sheffield United's best center back's hurt, so that also makes sense.
No, it's not good.
So it's all around not good. It's just everything's not good. Just move on. We'll watch Arsenal win 4-0, and we'll move on to better matches.
This is Arteta. Arsenal has not scored yet in the first 15 minutes of games this season, and it has changed things. And I think that's when we look at what causes teams to play differently, play worse. Arsenal was so good last year at being up 1-0 inside 15 minutes. They so often their first shot went in. And what happens when that happens is you get to play more expansive because teams have to come out and play you more, and that let Arsenal do that. Now that they haven't had that luxury, they've struggled to break down these more compact, for lack of a better word, teams. You saw Jesus, though. The difference he makes is massive for Arsenal in the Sevilla match. Congrats to BJ on winning a head-to-head against me. Yeah, good. It was the right side. But it was Jesus. I mean, he plays the ball into Martinelli to get him in, and then he scores the goal to put the game, quote unquote, away, just on the other side of halftime. So his absence is a notable one because the replacement's just not a good passer. It's Eddie Nketiah. He gets some decent shot numbers, but he's not great. Arteta knows it too. So the reality is that if he's in, I'm going to take some Arsenal team total under 2.5 at plus 130. And I think that this is just like a 2-0 cruiser. And I'm going to have to sweat out the last 30 minutes, and it's going to suck. But at like plus 130 without Jesus, I cannot get to Arsenal being over, 2.8 goals, essentially, what they would need to be. I just can't get there with this Arsenal team. They have not been good enough in attack to warrant that price.
All right, that definitely is enough on
trash
on
play of
this
the week.
match. Bournemouth and Burnley now relegation 6-pointer.
Oh my! This is the like most disgusting match I think that we're gonna see all weekend. Like it's just gonna be like, can we bet on mistakes being happened?
All overs?
It's gonna be 7-5. Yeah,
mistakes. Like it's just gonna be so stupid.
it's either gonna be it's either gonna be 7-5 or another game where you want to back the 0-0. It's just getting weird
How many
stuff.
more matches do Iraola have? Like how many more?
I already read this week that they were talking about sacking him.
Yeah, he's living and dying by his
it's very upsetting.
Yeah. He's living and dying by his hybrid press, and it's not working, and he won't change. And they built this entire squad around his system. So
you got to stick to the plan. They'll stay up. The results are coming.
Okay,
maybe
well,
never.
Let's
say, I mean, what's their schedule coming?
The schedule lightened up. They got to play Wolves at home. Now they didn't win, but
they got Everton, they got Wolves, and
Cook headbutted Huang, and that was all she wrote.
And now he's out too. And they need him.
He's out.
Phil Billing popped up in the injury report.
Don't worry, it gets a lot easier after Burnley. They got Liverpool, City, Newcastle.
I swear they've only played the good teams.
We'll bet them against Liverpool.
Wait, how are they playing Liverpool again? Oh, FA League Cup.
Yeah. Sorry, it's League Cup. My bad.
Yeah. Bournemouth plus 110 here at home. Burnley
this is the easiest
plus
pass
240.
There's just
and the draw's 250. I do think that you can play some wild correct scores or something here. Like have some fun with this one.
It's like all over 3.5.
Yeah,
over 4.5.
Yep.
Both these teams are exactly the same. They try to build out of the back
Spider-Man meme.
They can't do it. Both of them try to press high and they can't do it. So it's either going to be each tries to build out of the back and just makes a billion mistakes, or they just get played right through. So either way, it's probably going to lead to a lot of goals.
I was pretty high on Bournemouth coming into the season. I still am, but I'm
not. I'm done.
At this point, it's more of sunk cost than anything else. Like, I know BJ just wants every little team in the league to sit deep and put 12 dudes in the box.
I just want
never have possession and be compact. But you know what? I respect Andoni Iraola because he went after it. And for like 3 minutes against Liverpool, they had the lead in match week 2 after getting a solid home result against West Ham. And I was a believer in that moment. I tweeted Iraola ball. I put the cherry emoji in the tweet, and I was like, you know what? This team is real. He would have been okay if he didn't have all of his players hurt at the same time to start the season. I think that hurt them. Tyler Adams would have been nice if he ever plays, but he never plays, so we kind of just have to factor that in.
He's out. He's out till February now.
And it's tragic.
No midfielders.
Yeah, none.
Wolverhampton plus 320, hosting red hot Newcastle minus 1. Oh, I guess they're not red hot anymore. They lost to Dortmund today.
Yeah.
Newcastle's minus 134, and the draw is 3-1. Newcastle, I think, would be the other team that I'd like most if I was building a square parlay with City. We'll talk about another one later in the show, but this Wolves team, man.
Maybe Bournemouth should have kept the manager.
Yeah, right.
That's managing this Wolves team right now, 12th place.
Jesus.
The Gary O'Neill Renaissance.
The Reddit, yeah.
I mean, credit to Wolves.
I mean, how good did that feel for Gary O'Neill last week?
I know.
Probably felt great.
Yeah, I just think that it's going to end up being one-way traffic for Newcastle here. What do you think, BJ?
I agree. I'm laying it with Newcastle. I think the price is way too short. We've now seen both Liverpool and City go play Wolves. Now, those two matches, Wolves played very valiantly. They played pretty well, I thought, against Liverpool and obviously beat City. But Liverpool closed at minus 150. City closed at minus 250 on the road here. Is Newcastle worse than Liverpool right now? I don't think so. I think they're pretty close and level on. I mean, Newcastle's leading the Premier League in expected goal differential right now. I think that they, especially in a situation like this, where they just absolutely obliterate teams in the bottom half of the table. And Wolves, I mean, they are not just this total transitional team that will just try to evade Newcastle's press. They're still trying to build out of the back. They're still trying to get past that first line of defense, get the ball out wide to Neto and really create that transitional type opportunity. And it's been working. Like, they've been pretty good at doing that. But I worry here, if they can't get past that first line of the pressure, what happens? And I think once Newcastle goes ahead, it's going to be one-way traffic. Just keep going one way, and the ball is going to keep going in the back of the net over and over and over again. I mean, Wolves' offensive numbers for the season still hasn't been that impressive. I mean, they're 12th in expected goals. They're 17th in expected threat. Like, they're still not this juggernaut offense just because Pedro Neto just keeps going off. So we'll see. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong and they'll put in another great performance like they did against Liverpool and City. But I just don't see them, if they're trying to build out of the back, how they're going to play through them. So I'm laying with Newcastle, project them over -200 here. So Newcastle -130.
Wolves overs 5 and 4 this year.
It's true.
Yeah, that's right before I hand it over to you, Anthony. I do want to say, like, maybe this Wolves team, we should give them a little bit of credit as a team that can punch up pretty well. Like the City win, they played well against Villa.
United and Brighton.
Yeah,
for
United, like,
the season, they played
should
well.
have won that United match. They were even on XG with Brighton, although that game was all over the place, so it's hard to even look into that. But last year too, with O'Neal and Bournemouth, like they punched up all right too. So it could just be one of his hidden talents, Anthony. What are your thoughts on Wolves at Newcastle?
Well, I thought it was very interesting that Dortmund didn't really try to have possession today, and it was effective. I watched that match. I was most intrigued tactically by that match, so I had it on the main screen, and I thought that Dortmund really just gave Newcastle the ball and said, go ahead, try to beat us, and they couldn't. Newcastle's only had 54% of the possession this year, which is 8th in the league. That is much lower than you'd expect for a team who is a top 3, clearly power-rated team in the league. So the question is, does Wolves want to have more possession here? Because Wolves as a team are, right around league average in possession as well. So they, like you said, they're not just transition. They do like to have some of the ball, but I don't think that's the optimal way to play against Newcastle. So from a matchup perspective, the attack for Wolves, like you said, it's not great. It's just Pedro Neto being Pedro Neto and very good at being Pedro Neto. But there are some injury concerns popping for Newcastle now that need to be monitored. Isak went off with an injury today. His absence is a pretty solid one for them. If he's not able to go this weekend, I would not be able to lay this price with Newcastle. So no bet for me at the moment, but monitoring Isak, lean toward them, but do think that, like, at some point we have to be at the top of the market on them, right?
Maybe.
Like no Botman and no Isak potentially this weekend. I mean, I don't know.
This
like best underlying numbers in the Prem is insane to think about. Given and look, we were
and
all
they
like,
played a tough schedule.
They played one of the 6 toughest, and we have not. We came in and we were like not really buying the regression angle that others thought. I wasn't. I have a top 4 ticket on them that I feel very good about, but like they're not. I didn't think they'd be better. And they've been better. They've been better. That's crazy.
Also, one more thing I want to mention. Since I wrote this up a couple weeks ago, but since the start of last season, Newcastle against teams in the bottom half of the table, plus 1.27 XG differential per 90 minutes. They obliterate the bottom half of the table. So, this could be another situation where, they obviously gave away a late one to West Ham, a game they had in pretty good control. But Newcastle on the road is much different than at home. But again, if we truly believe that they're on the level with Liverpool and, even not on the level with City, but somewhere close to it, like they should be priced higher here on the road, given what those 2 teams were priced against Wolves.
Okay. West Ham and Everton now.
Yes, this is the best match of the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it always is.
No surprise who we're all on.
Yeah, no, I mean this.
We're all on David Moyes, West Ham, blah blah.
Who's better, Everton or Manchester United?
Everton.
If United went to Everton and was a pick'em, would you bet Everton?
Like
I would.
If they went tomorrow,
Probably.
yeah.
They play tomorrow
Yeah.
at Everton. The
See.
game is lined as a toss-up.
You see what I'd make that match.
Who do you bet?
I'm going to tell you.
I
what
don't
I'd
make.
that
I was curious earlier, so I just put it in. I made United a favorite, but I would still bet Everton as a toss-up. That's how much I think they're playing at a high level right now.
I had United plus 115. So, but they'd make
Right.
United like minus 120 on the road. So, yeah. No, I mean Everton's awesome. They're great, Michael.
Keep going.
They're going to get a 12-point
I-
deduction. We're all going to bet them to stay up, and it's going to be great. It's going to be one of the best betting opportunities of the season.
Everton finally having a good enough team to stay up and then getting a penalty to get put back in the relegation race is very Everton. I should say that. If that comes.
They can't give us a point deduction with Chairman Bill Kenwright's passing over the week. So
No.
Tragedy bet.
Yeah, it's
very funny that how many charges is City up to at this point? And now they're going to go after
they're facing a 168 point deduction by the same.
I saw it on Twitter to somebody. It's like it's really unfortunate Everton's lawyers aren't rich like City's ours. So they're facing this trouble now.
In terms of this match, though, I think it's pretty clear.
Oh, it's great.
Who the right side is.
West Ham. What planet is West Ham a favorite at home here? Like what planet?
I think they're about even teams.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think West Ham sucks, quite frankly.
They do. Their defense is really bad.
That's
good.
Also the Everton attack. We've talked about how it's pretty good. It's right up there in terms of expected goals. With it's better than United. It's not too far off of Arsenal. It's not too far off of City. Before last week, they had more expected goals created than City. Schedule has toughened up a bit, and they've been all right. Like they played that game against Liverpool. I thought they played really well until, they caught that they got a bad whistle. Even the first time I've ever heard Jurgen Klopp not, complain about his own team when a reporter's like, Everton kind of got screwed there, and he's like, they were unlucky. I almost fell out of my chair. But it was crazy that if you're going to send off Ashley Young, that Konate wasn't sent off, and the fact that Klopp took him off the pitch as soon as they didn't give him the second yellow tells you everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those matches where because there was a red card and things kind of got out of hand for the last 40 minutes or so, the numbers might look a little skewed, but eye test wise, that first half, Everton was right there. And I see them giving this West Ham defense quite a bit of trouble. So, put on my blue nose, Anthony.
Yeah, at the risk of being redundant, look at the lineup that Everton played last week and compare it to the lineup that Everton put out on opening day. And it's, night and day. Huge difference.
The only downgrade is that they don't have Neil Maupay anymore.
That's true. But, James Garner plays more centrally. Instead of Neil Maupay, it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Instead of Iwobi out wide, you're getting Jack Harrison. There's some real upgrades here in this team. Danjuma, being available as well. This is a good attack, period. I don't care what the XG said against Liverpool. They're a good attacking side. So now they play a West Ham team. If you just sort the table and you take out effects for game state and man advantages, disadvantages. So even game, like I said, even game state or -1, -2, +1, +2. So within reason, non-blowouts, 11 on 11 minutes, no penalties. West Ham this season has a -0.37 expected goal difference per 90 in those minutes. They have conceded 1.86 expected goals per 90 in those minutes, which is the 5th worst in the league, ahead of the 3 newly promoted teams and Bournemouth. That's where we're at here. And if you just, grind it down and you say, well, this is what David Moyes does. When they have the lead, they play very conservatively and thus they concede more chances. Even still, their expected goals allowed is middle of the pack defensively. They are 12th. So it is not just Moyes ball, park the bus ball. This is not a great defensive team anymore. And you compare this to Everton, who in those same original game states has the third most expected goals created behind only Liverpool and Newcastle. And look, the defense is not great, but guess what? It's better than West Ham's. So, expected goal difference for them plus 0.6 per 90. I don't think that's, quite what Everton is, but it gets to the point, which is that West Ham has been considerably worse than Everton in every way this year. And we're getting a half a goal on Everton on the road. That is a bet for me.
Yeah. And the defense, like getting Jared Branthwaite in over Michael Keane
he's a beast.
He's great. BJ, you guys kind of look like you could be related. What do you think here?
I'll take that. Yeah, no, Everton and over 2.5 here. This is something I mentioned last week. So now we're at last 5 Premier League matches. West Ham has conceded 12 goals off of 11.6 expected. So basically all these goals they're allowing in, they are deserved. They are not overperforming or underperforming. They are pretty much right around where they should be. And what's been happening is they are just tiring out when they are defending without the ball for 60, 70% of the match. 60% of their expected goals allowed this season are coming in the second half of matches. The other thing about this match is West Ham, David Moyes' ball, what does he want to do? He wants to clog the middle of the pitch, force the ball out wide, and dare you to beat him with crosses. West Ham's opponents have attempted 223 crosses in 9 matches this season. So it's not a shock they're dead last in crosses completed into their penalty area. Crossing is the main way that Everton creates most of their chances. Second most attempted crosses in the Premier League behind only Luton Town, and they had the 6th most completed into their penalty area. And, offensively, if you think about what West Ham is, what do they purely rely on? It's just transitional moments and set pieces. 6th and final third to box entry conversion rate, 7th most big scoring chances, and 2nd in XG per set piece. But Everton has been a good set piece defense. And the only worry that you could have here with Everton is if West Ham decides to just evade their frontline press and just go and try to win 50-50 balls and get, transitional opportunities that way, that they do have a lot of dangerous players like Paqueta, like Jared Bowen, who can really give Everton a lot of problems. So that's why I kind of like the over 2.5 here. Also, West Ham has to travel to Greece, take on Olympiacos in the Europa League on Thursday. They also just played on Sunday. So Everton will have another day rest and will have played one less match going on the road here against West Ham. So Everton plus a half, minus 127, and over 2.5 at minus 125.
All right, let's get through these last ones pretty quickly because we are going pretty deep. Villa and Luton Town.
What a win for Luton Town against the spread last week.
Win. Huh? That was amazing. What a moment.
There was some shade being thrown in the Action Network Soccer Discord.
Yeah, stop it.
And those people can shut it.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. I'm just going to take a break this weekend from Luton Town. There is value on them, again, like there is every week. But these are the type of matches where Aston Villa just pumps these teams. Like it's happened so many times that I'm just going to, I've got my win against Nottingham Forest, a very lucky one. I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to watch Aston Villa win 5-0, and I'll come back next week to watch Luton Town. I don't know who they play, but I'm sure I'll be on them.
I'm excited for Thursday's matchup. Villa versus
Liverpool,
AZ Alkmaar. Liverpool Luton.
Liverpool at Luton. Liverpool traveling to Luton Town to play. We'll get some Luton +2 in there.
All right, let's just move on. Brighton. Before I convince myself, Brighton as a odds-on favorite against Fulham now. Brighton's minus 188. Fulham plus 475. The draw is plus 333. Saying that I think there's another team that would pair well in a square parlay with City or Newcastle. I think that would be Brighton. I can't see this Fulham defense, although they were okay against Spurs on Monday. It's hard to trust them to be able to shut down an attack that is just buzzing at all times. And I know Brighton plays with fire, but I just think that this is one of those matches where you're kind of kicking yourself when it's 3-0 Brighton at halftime if you sit it out. So I will be on the Seagulls, City, and Newcastle probably in like some sort of 2 out of those 3 in a parlay. Checked it in the action app. As we get closer to kickoff.
Lieboff playing favorites. This is like
I know. I'm trying to
freaky shit.
Yeah, this slate kind of calls for it. I feel like I think stylistically, like between in those 3 matchups, like and BJ argued it with the Newcastle game, like -130 when you look at Spurs is -125 at Palace and Newcastle's -130 at Wolves. I feel like Newcastle might be a little cheap there. But yeah, I think Brighton. This is just one-way traffic and a great matchup for them.
I agree. I'm taking Brighton -1, -120. I don't know what Fulham is trying to do offensively. Like, I'm kind of lost in what Marco Silva's plan is. Because sometimes I'll watch them and they're going to try to build out of the back, and other times they just send it long and try to play transitionally. I thought the match against Tottenham was very evident that they were trying at times to build out of the back and just succumb to Tottenham's pressure as the match went along. And I think that's what's going to happen again here. Of course, there's the angle where they could just evade Brighton's press and really, really beat them in a few transitional opportunities. But I mean, who in this attack for Fulham is going to threaten the back line? I know Fulham created one big scoring chance against Tottenham late when the match was already out of hand, but outside of that, before that, they did nothing for pretty much the entire first 60 minutes of the match. And what I know what De Zerbi's going to do. He's going to do exactly kind of what Tottenham did. He's going to overload the central parts of the pitch, force Fulham to play very, very compact, and he's going to get Matoma. And I think March is out. And whoever's going to be playing on the right side, whether it be João Pedro, Fati, whoever it is, he's going to get them in one-on-one situations, and they're just going to repeatedly cook the Fulham wingbacks and evade the box and just play crosses right into the middle time and time again. So projected Brighton around -240. So I think there's some value on our Seagulls against Fulham.
Okay. All right. Nottingham Forest and Liverpool to close out our discussion here. Liverpool -350. Forest traveling at 9-1 on the 3-way line, and the draw is +475. Anthony, convince me on Nottingham Forest, because I love myself a bet against Liverpool when they're this big.
Yeah, I think Liverpool are starting to figure some things out. Gravenberch and McAllister in kind of a double pivot role seemed to be effective for them in the match against Everton in terms of a defensive perspective. I thought they were much better defensively in that match, and that is encouraging.
Okay, it's a good start to convincing me.
Well, I think that's more just like macro, unlike Liverpool. I think that they're an encouraging team here. But I'm also encouraged by Nottingham Forest, who are playing the lowest event soccer in the league. And I think that's notable because they're kind of zagging, right? Like, we've talked all year about every team in this league going and just turning the dial toward attack. Burnley, Bournemouth,
Everton.
Brighton, Newcastle, Spurs, even West Ham are playing higher event matches. There are very few teams left who are embracing defense. And look, that was not Nottingham Forest last season. This season it is. And they've been a good defensive side. And I think that's meaningful in this season, given their general counterattacking talent that they have on display. Now, from an expected goals allowed perspective, Nottingham Forest, top half of the league. Now, they have not created a ton as a result of that, but their attack has still been just generically bad, not at the level of like a Burnley, Sheffield, or Bournemouth. So they're still getting enough out of the attack to make it work. And the defense is what I'm really encouraged by and why I think that they're generally undervalued. And I've gone back and forth on them. I'm famously never right about this team. It looks like Taiwo might be back. That's one thing to watch here. Last week it was he's progressing. He's going to return to training. We don't know yet. We're waiting to see. I'm going to probably bet them if he's in. I'm going to bet them if he's in, and I still may bet them if he's out. +1.5, +115. I have this just under 1.5. So I think that Forest, they're the team that I bumped the most from preseason to now, actually, because I think that their numbers are more real. Like last year, they stayed up, but it wasn't real. And this year, they have backed up their numbers to the point where I can respect them and buy into the fact that they are playing differently. And I think it's a fun dichotomy that Steve Cooper has become more pragmatic to help this team stay up. But yeah, I mean, they're not allowing a lot of big scoring chances, and they're keeping teams out of the penalty area at a decent rate. So
the Steve Cooper guy, Michael.
He might be. It's major Zag energy. He's still. I mean, I don't know what to make of this guy. I've never no idea.
You didn't know what to make about Ange. Told you he was good. He's good. Cooper, Sean Dyche at Everton.
Okay, wait, Sean. You can't do the Sean Dyche.
You have so much to learn. You just have so much to learn, Anthony.
Sean Dyche at Everton. I feel like we were all on that.
Bundesliga time. Why not right back to you, Anthony? We'll be pretty quick here.
So I've actually got nothing. This is crazy for me. I love the Bundesliga. It's a league that I watch every Saturday. Not one bet popped on my numbers. And so unless we get market movement, I'm going to have to sit out the weekend, which is probably better because last weekend's 2 bad beats were horrendous. Leverkusen, undefeated. The one thing to watch is Stuttgart. No Gerasi this week. He's out. They're only minus 120 at home against Hoffenheim, which when I went to look at was like, that can't be right. And then I remembered that, yes, Gerasi went off injured. So the best striker in the world will not be playing, unfortunately, this weekend. And I'll be passing.
Wow. All right, BJ.
Gladbach, Heidenheim, over
Ah.
3.5 goals, plus 130. I wanted to come on here and do some I'll retire if this match remains 0-0. But Chris Russo already kind of took that steam away from everybody, so I don't really want to do that. Let's just say I'll be floored. Oh, come on, it's funny. I really don't see how this match isn't like a 4-4, just like really chaotic. Like Heidenheim, they might be the worst defensive team I've ever seen come up to any one of these leagues. I mean, so far this season, they have conceded 21 expected goals in 8 matches. Like, they are just conceding chances for fun. They are the most direct team of anybody in the Bundesliga. They're just built on all these transitional attacks. They leave themselves wide open. Gladbach is going to be without Kone. He got a red card over the weekend, so he's not going to be available. He's their best ball stopper in the middle of the pitch. So when you're playing a primarily transitional team, I think this match is just open, right back and forth, written all over it. I mean, Gladbach, Anthony will tell you that their defense is not great at the moment. So Gladbach, Hoffenheim over 3.5, plus 130. I will not retire if it ends 0-0, but I will be floored.
All right, El Clasico, La Liga, Barcelona dealing with a seemingly host of injuries here. What are your thoughts, BJ?
So, yeah, right now, Lewandowski, De Jong, Pedri, Rafinha are all questionable to play in this match. If they all play, I love Barcelona pick minus 125. I think they should be around an even money favorite at home if all of those guys play. If they don't, and we see some type of lineup that we saw against Shakhtar today, there's no way I'm touching this at all. Barcelona, the last time that they played Real Madrid, they beat them. They played a really good match against them, won on XG, won the match 2-1 in one of those El Clasicos. But yeah, just from a price point, I mean, we came into the season, when me and Anthony did the La Liga preview, we were like, why is Barcelona an underdog to Real Madrid? And now what this line is implying is that Real Madrid would be a favorite on a neutral field, which I don't agree is the case. Again, if Barcelona is fully healthy. If they're not, then I'm not touching this. But I made Barcelona around an even money favorite here. So if all of those guys play and Barcelona has De Jong to be able to break down Real Madrid, which will be very interesting because the last time Real Madrid pressed them pretty high to try to stop them from just having time and space on the ball and trying to make line breaking passes. yeah, if Barcelona doesn't have De Jong or Lewandowski, then it's hard for me to see how you can play them in this match.
Agree entirely. I mean, we're pretty much in line with what we think about Barcelona and Real Madrid. Bellingham will score probably 3 goals, but only if I don't bet Madrid. So only if I do bet against Madrid, rather. So,
not a great showing against Braga in the Champions League.
No, they were poor against Braga, and I don't rate Braga very highly. So this team is just not that great. They're good, not that great. We say that every year. So
yeah.
Anthony, you gonna try to beat Atletico Madrid again? Alaves
no, I'm gonna take
at 8-1. They're sitting there at 8-1.
You're walking, dude. You're walking into fire here.
I'm going up against. I mean, this is like a sell high of sell highs. I mean, Girona sells Tati, and it just doesn't matter. Like, they're playing at an unreal level, and they have dominated La Liga to this point in the season. And there's not that much air in the numbers. I just am skeptical that they'll keep doing this. They have put up the 5th best expected goal differential in the league. They have not conceded anything. Like, this is a weird situation where, like, Girona has the 3rd most expected goals created. But again, you have to start looking, okay, what could be some causes of this? It's not the schedule. I mean, they've played Sociedad. They got to play Sociedad, a weakened version of them. They played Villarreal. They played Real Madrid. So I just think it's like running really good for a little while, scoring a bunch of goals, and that's fine. But Vigo is the most underrated team in Spain right now. They were dominating Atletico Madrid prior to that red card on Saturday. They took 7 of the first 8 shots. They dominated Getafe in a draw. They outplayed Las Palmas in a last-second loss in that match. They were better than Barca for more than an hour. Like, they have put up performance after performance and not gotten results in any of the matches. This is the time to buy low on Vigo and sell high on Girona, who at the beginning of the season I would have told you Vigo's the better team. They have not been to this point, but I think they will be going forward. So Vigo plus a half.
Serie A now. Anthony, on your boys.
Yeah, Fiorentina does it again. They just keep putting on those performances that we love. And here's the thing about Lazio, right? There are some schedule effects. They've played a tougher than average schedule, but we've talked about them ad nauseum on this show. In 2021, 2022, they had a plus 0.2 expected goal differential per 90 minutes, which is a 7th-ish best team on normal averages. And that's where the market had them priced. They finished really hot and got to a top 5 finish, even though they didn't deserve it. Last season, they finished 2nd in the league, despite a plus 0.26 XG per 90, basically with the same team, ran really good again. This year, Immobile's been out of the lineup. They have a negative expected goal difference in Serie A, minus 0.03 per 90. Like I said, the schedule's a little tougher, so you can maybe schedule adjust it a little bit. But here's the concern. And I thought this was really interesting. They started Ciro Immobile into Kuip at Feyenoord today, and I don't think he's the best striker on the team. So the fact that when he came back, they brought him in over Castellanos, who put up good numbers at Girona last year and has now put up 0.49 XG per 90 in his first 3.390s for the club. The fact that they went with Immobile now fit over him, I think might be a minus EV decision. I think it might make Lazio worse. Fiorentina has the much better ball progression numbers. They should dominate the exchanges in this match. Their question is always coming down to goal scoring and do they have enough firepower? But I'm going to take them plus 210 on the money line and ride with Italiano ball.
BJ?
I have a wonderfully boring match. Lecce, Torino, both teams have scored no, minus 130. These are 2 of the better defensive teams. I know Lecce hasn't put up great defensive numbers so far this season. They just had a bad showing at Udinese this past weekend. But against some of the lower level teams like Genoa, like Monza, for example, where they had a red card, they have been better. And they're facing a Torino team that might be the worst offensive team in Europe's top 5 leagues. 6.4 expected goals created so far this season. The only team they've created over 1 expected goal against is Salernitana, who's the worst defensive team in the history of soccer. And I just don't really see a scenario how this match ends very high event, projected this north of minus 200. So Both teams to score no in Torino and Lecce.
Okay. On to Ligue 1, where Anthony passed on the Bundesliga. BJ's passing on Ligue 1.
Yeah.
But you've got...
Bizarro.
I'm playing favorites. You've got the floor.
Yeah, Lille under Fonseca is a really interesting case, right? So they've had a good number of injuries to start the season. They are finally starting to get healthy. They're starting to play better, and they're into that top four in France. And the French top four is very interesting at the moment because there's no team beyond PSG and Monaco that's really been consistent. Everybody's been so up and down. Of course, Lyon and Lens are at the bottom of the table. And so it's opened the door for these teams to kind of make a run like Lille, like Nice. But I think Lille is really turning the corner here. They had, like I said, they had a bad start and they have been dominant ever since. And so they have now, good win against Brest at home. They are the better team than Monaco. I know Monaco has been the best team thus far by points, but I think there's some regression in their numbers. Their defense is extremely overvalued. They've scored 23 goals from 15 expected goals to start the season. Major regression indicator there. So I think this team's run really well to get to where they are. They're overvalued. Lille plus 130 at home.
Okay. Underdogs. 3 legs. It'll spit out at a pretty big number this time. We've had some whoppers this season, so this one feels a little short. It'll come out at 52-1. BJ, you can go first.
Frosinone plus 205 against Cagliari on the island. Do not understand why Cagliari is a home favorite here. They have won the expected goal battle once in all of their matches this season. They've been one of the worst defensive teams in Serie A. And Frosinone, Di Francesco took over them. He's managed a lot of top clubs throughout Italy, Roma for a 2-year period. He's switched them over to a 4-3-3. He's got them playing more attacking, more high pressing football, and it's working. They have a positive expected goal differential through 9 matches. Like, things are actually steering in the right direction. They're playing really well against the lower half of the table competition, and I just don't understand why Cagliari is a favorite here. So Frosinone plus 205 on the road, on the island at Cagliari.
As an Italian, I am absolutely shuddering at some of those pronunciations, but we will let it slide.
Well, which one did I get wrong?
Cagliari. You gotta
Cagliari?
hold the G a little bit.
The way to pronounce Italian teams, BJ, is when you think you're offending someone by being too dramatic and playing into it too much. Mm-hmm. You're not. Like, that's just how to say it. It's okay. I will never get mad at anybody for mispronouncing some of these team names.
Well, that's what people tune into Wondergoal for, is to listen to me mispronounce name after name after name.
BJ is from Iowa.
Yeah.
He's pretty far away from
I'm pretty far away from
Cagliari. For me, easy one to pronounce, easy one to play. One of our favorite teams on the planet, Brentford. They're plus 440, taking on Chelsea. You just look at the two teams' statistical portfolios, and there's not that much of a difference here. We all know about Chelsea's woes in front of goals. As Anthony said, maybe Cole Palmer helps to sort some of those out. But against this Brentford team, one that has punched up so well in their first 2+ seasons in the Premier League under Thomas Frank, this number is just way too wide. So the Trusty Bees, probably the clubhouse leader by quite a large margin for being featured in this section of the show. And we're back. We'll go right back to them here. Anthony, your favorite dog.
We were joking off air that it has more validity when I pick Everton or BJ picks Everton compared to when Lieboff does it, because he does it every week. And so Everton, plus 250.
Nice and easy. All right, on to our best bets for the Premier League. You could go first, Anthony.
Nottingham Forest plus 1.5, plus 115 at Liverpool. We talked about this game and how they're playing a different style, more low event. I think Taiwo Awoniyi might be back here. That's a major upgrade for them. But really, it's just the Zag energy from this team being very effective at keeping teams out of their penalty area, conceding space. and possession, but not conceding dangerous possession, and being a league average defense as a result of that makes them a live dog here. So Forest plus 1.5.
I'm going to take the Brighton team total over 2.5 at plus 135. I think that stylistically, this matchup against Fulham is exactly what they like. They like these defenses that they can pick apart. I don't think Fulham offers too much danger going the other way, but I'm still a little nervous with the Brighton defense, so I'd rather just isolate the attack with play on the team total at a plus number. So team total over 2.5 at plus 135. BJ, take us home.
Everton plus a half, minus 127, like we've talked about many times already. West Ham really should not be a home favorite here, given how their defense is played. I mean, 12 goals allowed off 11.6 expected in their last 5 matches. They are conceding a lot of space outside. They're trying to be very compact centrally, but they're also allowing a ton of crosses. And that is how Everton creates most of their chances. Everton has attempted the second most crosses of anybody in the Premier League so far, completed the 6th most. So Everton should have time and space on the ball to pick out those crosses, try to get guys inside the box. And West Ham, as we've seen time and time again, continually tires out as matches go along when they have to defend without the ball for 60, 70% of the match. So West Ham's overvalued here, projected this match close to a pick'em. So I like Everton plus a half at minus 125.
Awesome. That wraps up this episode of Wondergoal for Anthony DeMundo and BJ Cunningham and our sponsors, Bet365. We wish you all the best of luck with all your bets this weekend. Hopefully, we will be celebrating a nice 3-leg underdog win for the first time this season. We're getting towards the 1-year anniversary of our last one, so hopefully we're
still in the black too.
We're still in the black.
5 years from now, we're going to be like, well, remember that one time we hit the 200?
And we'll finally be in the red again on it. Best of luck with all your bets.